Good evening. We're returning to the journey of Caius, Dunmer, Spellsword, Eternal Champion, finest courier of Tamriel. I'm currently in Daggerfall looking to find the assistant in the castle who impugned our status as a hero. A couple of other tasks that we have as secondary goals are to advance within the Mages Guild as well as find a temple to find allegiance with. While we're at it, let's take a minute at the pawnbrokers just so I can sell any items that I've got.
The shop is laid out in a practical and straightforward manner. All the items seem to be of adequate construction.
If memory serves, I had duplicates of certain books. Alright, I only think there's 2 duplicates right now, but 656 gold is certainly nothing to complain about. Last thing I'm looking for is the Mages Guild. It's the other side of the map. I think I'm actually going to make the trip. Actually, I'll see if there's anything in the castle that I need first. If I'm given a quest, it doesn't make any sense to set it aside in order to do some Mages Guild tasks. And then at some point I would like to find the Temple of Akatosh. But there's certainly no shortage of things for me to do with my existing allegiances. It's always nice to know that you have a wagon that can strafe.
All are free to petition His Highness at this time. Do not stray from the audience chamber, lest ye have a royal blessing to do so. Always speak politely to the king and queen, and above all, cast no spells while within these walls. Do ye agree with these terms? Aye, ye.
Now, right now, before I go any further, I have some specific people that I want to find. This is...
Hey, if I told you I could give you a bit of information, let's say about the letter of my lady, would you be interested there, Caius? I thought so. Now mind you, I ain't giving it away. Before I scratch your back, you gotta scratch mine. Deal?
Deal.
Name's Sindasa, Daggerfall. I'll tell you everything I know, but I don't need to remind you that there ain't no such thing as free info, do I, Caius? I'm just a maid to Her Highness, nothing but a fleck in the world, and my needs ain't big. I need this werewolf done in. I know just where it is. Some oblivion forsook hole called Tistor Laboratory, off the coast of Bethany Way. I can't tell you why, but it's important to me that the werewolf get put out of its misery. I'll wait here for 29 days for you. That ought to be plenty of time.
So be it. That ain't good. So now that I know where I'm looking for, I might as well talk with the people in the audience chamber.
Well met, stranger.
Looks like most of these people don't have anything for me to do.
This is a potentially awkward situation I'm in. Not the worst, but awkward indeed. I'm in possession of a certain item that is not, to be blunt, legally mine. If you would carry it a contact of mine in Chesterbourne, you will be handsomely rewarded. Does 288 gold pieces sound fair to you?
It does.
You will help me. Oblivion be praised. Now hurry, take the sursum and go to the Woodsley resident in Chesterbourne. Look for a Bridwell named Lord Bridwell. I don't think about taking the sursum elsewhere. If you're not in the Woodsley residence in 6 days, Lord Bridwell will come looking for you. Now hurry, time is of the essence.
I gotta write this down. I believe this is the individual who knows where the letter is. There's the obviously are made as the one who's our contact. Alright. Yep, that is her. My house.
You're not by any chance free to run a little errand for me. It's very simple. I would do it myself, or have one of my runners take care of it, but we're also very busy. It would mean an extra 353 gold pieces. That's not too bad. Are you available?
I am.
What luck. Now take this ring and go to Singwood, to a place called the Woodcroft Residence. There's an odd, well-to-do merchant there named Edward Woodcroft. Give him the ring, and he will give you 353 gold. Oh, and you need to be there in 8 days, but that should not be a problem. You have sturdy young legs. Off with you. What?
Alright. I was gonna do a Mage's Guild task, but I've got, What the hell?
Ah, excellent company. Good day, dear friend.
Do you just see what happened? This can't be helping my reputation. I'm gonna save this as a sort of a separate one, just in case something goes terribly wrong. Actually, I guess 11 will do. Alright, so other than the excitement that was coming up earlier, I think we can start worrying about our next few tasks.
A warm hello to you, good Caius.
Hello to you as well. Could you tell me where Lord Bridwell is?
Gotta be around here somewhere. Good day to you, Caius.
Good day to you. I'm looking for Lord Bridwell.
Last time I checked, it was a bit of a walk north.
Thank you for your help. So I'm focusing on the tasks with the shortest period of time, or shortest time limit at the moment.
Good day, Caius. I'm Lord Bridwell. Thank you for your discretion in this matter. You will find that discretion is a valuable quality. Here's your payment. Good day.
Easy money. I want to knock down the time on this a little bit. If I'm able to find the house from the tavern, so much the better, but it's possible. Well, we'll see. There's two which might allow me to focus on a part of the town. My contact is a dwarf. So if it's northeast, I mean, it's not that far. There's obviously a lot of buildings, but a lot of them will be locked. Not that trudging through the snow is exactly my idea of a hero's work. this hour, but we'll give it a shot.
Well met, stranger.
No problem. Northeast still. Very well. Oh, hang on.
Yes, you are worthy to join the temple of the the temple. The Akatosh Chantry will embrace you as a member. Are you interested in joining?
I am, but I'm not going to do any work for you yet.
Then welcome, my child. You may consider yourself a novice now. Our trainers are available to you. For other benefits of the temple, be patient, work hard, and they will come to you.
Well, if there's training involved. My God. Chose the right guild, I guess. I thought I would be trained in restoration. Destruction will do too.
Novice, one of our clerics, a man in a blue coat named Perrier Kingcroft, has disappeared while on an archaeological dig. Will you help us find him?
Sure.
That's good. Now then, Perrier Kingcroft went to Yagroth close to a fortnight ago to conduct a dig. It's possible that all is well, but I'll give you 22 days to go there. Find Perrier Kingcroft and come back. Akatosh walk with you, Novice. Farewell.
So I should be able to get that done after the werewolf quest. So if it's northeast, there's really only 4 buildings that this could be. Bingo.
Lord Provoth hired you as a runner? Ah, the ring I've been expecting. Very good. Here's your gold. Thank you.
Now obviously our first priority is going to be dealing with the werewolf because that will help us find the letter. Should have planned that ahead of time. Oh well. gonna go get ourselves a werewolf. I really thought that was the laboratory. Oh, it may be. What the? So this is one of the more serious dungeons, which of course would make sense because when we first encountered that character, they said we weren't high enough level. Hopefully we don't spend too much time healing, so we can still do that. So we can still do the quest for the Temple of Akatosh. It'll actually be nice if I can wrap up the letter. This is why I save. Sooks. I'm guessing that's a lich of some kind. It's not the smoothest run tonight. Alright, so I can't beat that thing at all. We'll see if magic might do the trick, but... I thought I had some kind of fireball. like the intended effect, but close. Apparently that's all it takes. But the challenge here is that queuing up well, you know what, this might work. It's the combination of queuing up the attack and actually delivering it. Works for me. So I need to be a little careful of these for the time being, just because I don't have any mana. Also, given the fact that we've run into two different enemies now that are immune to the dwarven steel blade, we need to find a better weapon. None of that sense. Okay, so apparently the answer to these are just to walk right into their attack. I think I signed myself up for more than I bargained for.
You find a diary fragment written in a clear hand. I have no memory of coming to this place. If I've been kidnapped, for what? We have no money, and Sindasa is barely tolerated by the nobles at court. My last clear memory is of watching the moon rise over Castle Daggerfall.
I think I know where this is going. Yeah, so this is gonna be... I've definitely bit off more than I can chew with the... It'd be smart if I put on some kind of spell resistance, but... That's not gonna work. Even resist fire is really expensive. I need to not push that button. So now we know why there was a level restriction for this. This is why we save. Spell points to cast it more than once. So I think the answer is to just rush in and do as much damage as possible up close. There's really nothing else for it. wish it would actually say what these things, the damage that these things do. Alright, I'm gonna try sneaking around it now. And it's all liches.
You find a diary fragment written in a scrawling hand. I cannot believe Cassandra acted so spitefully just because I broke up with her friend, Carolina Copperton. Well, I never much cared for visiting Charentale either, and thought we parted amicably. But paying her to turn me into the shapeshifters, I just don't get it. Sindasa must be picking up bad ways from those rotten nobles at the Daggerfall court.
Interesting. I was not expecting that. Sorry, just one second. I most certainly need to be able to carry more gold. Sorry, just one second. I'm sorry for the sudden break. Sometimes OBS will give me some very odd notes, and basically if there's any interruption in the recording, the entire video dies. So I tend to pay close attention to those so I don't wind up recording for 3 hours and then not have something to show for it. Oh crap. resist does nothing. Now I'm in trouble. That was not even remotely enough. Well, the good news is I probably won't survive long enough for that one to not or to have any effect. I also think the good news is I think that only affects it by 1 point. So I'm gonna guess that the multiple Wizard's Fires will just simply not do the trick here. I might just run. But I'll try it one more time because it probably doesn't hurt to get some practice. That was the one I tried to dodge in the first place. Alright, well, knowing that. So I made a mistake. I have been here before. I don't know what that was, but that sucked. course there are. He knows.
A freshly drawn map indicates the long-lost location of the Cabal of Gwynona, which you copy down.
One day I'll actually go to all these special dungeons. So one of the things that I'm starting to learn, and this is partly from being able to use the cheats in the game, but there are certain patterns in the design of the dungeons, and basically I have a feeling that whenever you wind up with this little part, even if it's not a quest item, you'll usually find some kind of item, or at least the potential for an item to be down in those areas. I also think next time I should just drop all the ingredients and replace them with holy relics because they will sell better. I haven't actually found a use for the relics yet. Back. Oh my god, run. Over your lives. So one thing I will say, in the previous game, it did feel that the spell sword was a very powerful class. I think in this particular case, they seem to have gone a little too strong on reducing their power. My main reason for saying so is that most spells, even though I don't think level 6 now. I don't feel like that's too low, but the majority of spells are inaccessible to me in the sense that I can't do anything as far as the casting. I also want to try and find a way down here, but I may have to go buy a lich. Gonna do my best to save this one, but I don't think it's pretty optimistic. Why? Oh, well, this will be exciting. It's gonna be a lit chair. So I will admit at this point my question is less about how I get past the liches, but what the developers thought players would do when they got to this one. One way or the other, I definitely need to find a better sword. That is not the noise I want to hear after a big fight. Those look so good and expensive. Run for your lives. It's better than I thought it would be, but that is a pit best avoided. So I do need to think about the most realistic path I can take that will get me to the creature I need to slay, while also avoiding liches. This path, I believe, led me to some liches, but it also seems to be the only one I haven't explored yet, so I'll make do and maybe try to be stealthy. Could be worse. I also think at this point, I can retire this old one. Oh, that's grim. I hope there isn't anything major behind that. So yeah, once upon a time I had pass wall to deal with something like this. Wrong save. You know, I seem to remember there being a fast walk mode too. I'm gonna use that more often, I think. So I think there should be a lich seem to have misunderstood what's going on. I seem to have explored this pretty thoroughly. Alright, I gotta get back to that rock. Or I need to get back. For those wondering how I'm doing that, by the way, that is if you have the cheats enabled. If you hit 1, that will enable a fast travel. I'm assuming that was so they could test the length of the different, like the generation of the continents without having to actually sit down and spend days walking all over the place. As it happens, it's also very convenient for dealing with the difficult gaps. Now I know why there was a block there. What I'm really looking for are unexplored areas at the moment. So, this seems like a possibility, but I'm pretty sure there's a lich there. Honestly, seems as good of a place as any to check, though. Well, this was unexpected, but not unpleasantly so. In this case, I'm gonna do something a bit foolish.
The body of the werewolf begins to transform before your very eyes. In just a few minutes, it has become a young man who seems to bear a strong resemblance to Sindasa.
So I'm gonna need to fight some liches to get him out, though. So I'm guessing there was some kind of brother or something like that. I'm assuming I need to go up to get out, but I'm a little curious. So it suddenly ends here, which makes me think I probably ran into something horrible. Ah, yes. I think this leads to a lich. Run for your lives! Run for your lives! Probably cast a heal at some point. Oh, good God. Okay, so now I'm really curious what's on that other door. see what's in those doors. Alright, that seems like a good place to end that particular journey. We'll move on to trying to find the exit again, which is going to be a complete pain. Because I have no idea where it was. First priority, obviously, is to find a way back to that throne room, for lack of a better term. I feel like I just went in a big circle. So that will take me back to where I just went. Here we go. Progress of a kind. Now I need to think about how I get back. Because I didn't really pay that close attention to where I was going when I first got here. I almost feel like this is the best spot to look. But that doesn't really seem right. So I realize this is a little dull. I'm just trying to find a sensible way to trace the steps back. Bingo.
Green haze makes your eyes burn.
All right. So... I'm 7 days down. I think I'm gonna go back to Daggerfall first. I kind of want to stop by the pawnbrokers before I go to the palace.
Listen, I can offer you the absolute maximum I can without losing my shirt. Here's 1,922 gold. Take it and tell all your friends that you cheated me.
I do need to unload this gold at some point too. I mean, while I'm wasting time, the Mages Guild is not a terrible idea at the moment. Now there will be a bit of a time waster as I sort out if there's any spells that weren't available in Sentinel. I'm also going to make sure that I write everything down properly so that when the broadcast is done, I can properly order both lists.
Without hesitation, the Mages Guild has elected to elevate your status and rank within the guild to that of Conjurer. You shall now be honored with access to the guild's archives, the largest selection of magical esoterica in Daggerfall. Most all items are available for purchase, and our keeper is forever looking for new articles and offers generous rewards for such. I hope you will find this honor useful. Once again, I respectively offer my congratulations.
So the good news is most of these I remember. Interesting. So there is actually a new one.
No more clumsy bargaining, kid. I'll give you 721, and that's the highest I'll go, period.
You'll pay me to buy the spell, okay.
if bargaining. My price is 53 gold pieces. Take it or leave it.
We still have a way to go, it seems. All right. So we'll turn in with the maid, and then we'll immediately go to the Akatosh quest. Now hopefully the maid will give me some kind of a lead on the letter. If she doesn't, then I'll just move straight back to doing more Mages Guild quests. Sorry for all the coughing. I don't have a push to talk set up for this, so you get to hear every last bump, scrape, and cough. It's super cool that all the citizens are walking on the moat. Alright, now I must allow for the possibility I will be attacked in here.
It's dead then, is it? Poor thing. He used to be my brother. If you ask me, he died long ago when he first got bit. He hated himself when he became that beast. I wish there'd been another way to help him. I promised I'd tell you how that letter, about that letter you're looking for, didn't I now? Of course, I remember that letter, Caius. It's not every day that you get a letter from the Emperor himself, especially seeing as the king ain't too fond of him. In fact, that's the only letter I've ever seen from him. I give it to Her Majesty, and she's all excited, and she rip it open and says, "This isn't for me, this is addressed to Minisira." Then boom, her jaw fell open and her eyes get real wide. She says she'll make sure the Queen Mother gets it, and that I don't have to worry myself none about it.
That's it.
Hello, Caius. I've heard very much about you. Now you come to me with a very interesting tale of deception. So, Sindasa, the maid, says that Abukai opened a letter from the Emperor addressed to me. I can tell you, Caius, that she never delivered such a letter to me. I would like you to investigate this further, Caius. It would be dangerous to poke into the affairs of Abukai without enraging King Gothred, even though he is my own son. Are you willing?
Sure, I'm already hated.
Good. I've long had my suspicions about Abukai's loyalty to the Emperor. She is a daughter of the late King Cameron, who ruled Hammerfell from his citadel and sentinel. My husband, King Lysandus, oblivion rest his soul, died at Craigain, as did King Cameron. Lysandus' body was not recovered, so he has a monument erected there rather than a true tomb. My mind wanders. The Emperor uses Morgana Kingwing as his messenger in Daggerfall. She could be anywhere in the region delivering missives. However, Morgana Kingwing is a member of the Knights of the Dragon. Go to the Gearsmith residence in Nouvelle Court and ask for Adnik Wicking. He may know where to find Morgana Kingwing. Try and find out why a letter addressed to me was delivered to Abukai.
He's probably not going to have another job for me. Oh, not this again. Alright, so here we are looking for Fairwear Kingcroft. And hopefully here we don't have liches to worry about. Trying to find out why I was given this ring. Signet ring. If the guy's underwater, I'm gonna have to cycle through all the locations, but I'll do that as a last resort. As exhilarating as that fight would be. Oh, that. I don't know how it did that, but that was kind of cool. Well, I tried to get out of the way. Part one's always good. Gives me something to talk about. I guess I don't need to be as obsessive about saves, seeing as there's not as many liches around. Oh boy. guess shock is my best bet right now. Here's the spell, damn it. Oh, here we go. Wait. Alright, so Fire Daedra are my new liches. Too many paths for me to go down. It's hard to keep them all straight. This seems very similar to the last dungeon. I am convinced this is the same layout. Or at least these chunks are very similar. Like even the bug is the same. And there should be room to the right. Yep. There was a lich in here last time. And in fact, so this room should be the one with the floating, yeah, fancy that. I kind of want to open a third save, but I've totally been here before. Or have I? Maybe I haven't. Maybe it's all just the same. Oh my god, this is exactly the same floor layout as the last dungeon. Oh crap. I have to satisfy my curiosity. Oh god. So I think if memory serves, this should lead to a dead end unless they've changed the location of the... No, I'm totally wrong. The one similarity we haven't seen yet is that big throne room. I think we lost him. Run for your lives. thought that was a sacrificial dagger. So what I'm trying to do is not do something like run by this hole and then just like zip over it. Because knowing that there's a gap I can run over is a little bit of a cheat. I don't mind doing it for the sake of like a jump or something like that, but I don't like giving myself an automatic win on something that involves trying to escape. Although I will confess, I am a little tempted to just take a peek at what... Oh, hang on, there shouldn't be anything up here. I am tempted to take a peek at just what the solution looks like, if it's actually a spot I can access. So what, the guy isn't here? This is where we found the note the last time in the previous dungeon. I'm probably not going to wind up keeping like this, but... Alright, now this is very unusual. So, the point of this level is I'm supposed to find someone. What I'm doing right now is cycling through all the locations where they could be. And it seems like... Oh, for God's sake. Okay, so apparently there is a Daedra guarding that. not got the right button. This sucks. Alright. I'm not even gonna pretend that this is this is just a straight up cheated cheating dungeon. I don't know how to get past those Daedra.
Goodness, you gave me quite a start, young dark elf. Have I really been down here for so long? How does time fly? Well, if you'd be so kind as to escort me back to the temple, my good Caius.
Alright, so I do kind of want to see how far I can get with this. Particularly, I want to see what it would have been like to try and get to this spot. Well, now we know why I didn't get through there. Oh, I totally forgot to save everything. Nope, no I didn't. You're kidding me. At this point, I'm just getting random enemies. Never mind. Okay, this is slightly ridiculous. Guess I can't expect to sneak forever. Oh, crap. So it turns out there's no doors in this area. Wow. So yeah, I don't feel bad cheating like hell in this spot. Yeah. I think what I'm gonna do, I don't normally like doing guides, but in this particular case, I think I'm going to. I think I'm just gonna see if there's something I'm missing. If at this level I should have some kind of a weapon that can attack Daedra. Or if it's just like that original starter dungeon where there are things that you should just run away from. Which is fair enough. The only challenge is that for this one, there's no possible way that I'm going to be walking past a Daedra to get the target for the quest. So one thing that's less encouraging about my cheat is that it seems like this is more of a spot that I didn't realize rather than it being something that was inaccessible. Obviously the fact that there's the Daedra guarding the character. That's one thing. But, trying to find him in the first place, I like to try and give a good faith effort to actually do the quest. This is just getting silly at this point. I think this to where I was before. Yeah, you know what? I'm doing the full-fledged cheat on this one. I think the lesson here is I'm gonna write off that dungeon and that will make sure I'm more educated on what I'm going up against.
Ah, novice. Good Perwear Kingcroft. It is good to have you back at the Order of the Hour again. I had feared the worst, to be honest.
Do I level up yet? No. While I'm here. This is going to be a little bit early, but as you can hear, I'm coughing quite a bit, and this is a nice little break as we will be pursuing the letter moving on. But one thing I've not yet done today is reading, so we're done with the quests for tonight. What I will do is read one of I will read one of the texts, and it'll either be a single volume or it will be the first part. This time I'll do Banker's Bet, and then I'll be able to work up.
Banker's Bet. It was a perfectly ordinary day in the main office of the Bank of Daggerfall. Normal transactions took place. Deposits were deposited. Withdrawals were withdrawn. House mortgages were collected. Letters of credit were golded. When a teller named Clayton J. Whifflington saw a little old lady approaching him, dragging 2 large sacks, each nearly as large as her, he changed his mind. It was not to be a perfectly ordinary day at the Bank of Daggerfall after all. "I would like you to take these 30 million gold pieces I have in these sacks and open me an account," croaked the little old lady. "Certainly, madam," Whifflington said eagerly. He counted the gold in the sacks and found that it was 30 million gold exactly. "One moment, sonny," the little old lady chirped. "Before I open the account, I would like to meet the man I'm trusting it to. I would like to talk with the president of the bank." Whifflington wanted the president to know that he was the teller who had taken the largest single deposit that year, so he eagerly sent word to the president's secretary. As it turned out, the president was equally eager to meet such a wealthy woman, so the old lady was brought to his office that very day. "Pleased to make your acquaintance, milady. I am Jerinder P. Bagildon," said the president. "Jerinder P. Bagildon." "My name," said the little old lady, "is Petuva Smuthworthy." This was in fact her real name. "Thank you for seeing me. I like to conduct my business in a more personal way." "I can certainly appreciate that," said Bagildon, chuckling. "It is an appreciable sum of gold. Would it be rude of me to ask how you came by it?" "Not at all," said Mrs. Smuthworthy. "How came you by it?" asked Bagildon. "I'll let you guess," replied Mrs. Smuthworthy, with a trace of unattractive girlish flirtation. Bagildon was a man of enormous imagination for a banker. He guessed inheritance and long-time thrift, but Mrs. Smuthworthy coyly shook her head. "She's going to be a bank robber. Perhaps she had sold a large old mansion? No." In a moment of chumminess, Bagildon asked if that gold came as a result of plunder or thievery. Mrs. Smuthworthy took no offense, but said no. Finally, he admitted defeat. "I'm a gambler," she said. "In arena fights?" he said, interested. No, dearie, different things. For example, I'd be willing to wager 25,000 gold pieces at this time tomorrow morning your testicles will be covered with feathers." Mr. Bagildon is somewhat taken aback with the old woman's words. Could she be mad? Could she be a witch? He eliminated the latter possibility, for he had a sense of such things. I guess if she wagered, 25,000 gold pieces, so he took her wager. For the next 24 hours, Mr. Bagildon obsessed over his testicles. He checked his pants so often that afternoon his subordinates feared the worst and suggested that he not touch anything and go home for the rest of the afternoon. He spent the night seated, his pants around his ankles, his beady banker's eyes focused on his scrotum. Every time he started to doze off, his vision was filled with images of Mrs. Smuthworthy plucking feathers from his balls, cackling. Mr. Bagildon, who wrote this? I was going to do a post-mortem at the end of this. This is perfect. Mr. Bagildon arrived at the bank late the next day, only moments before Mrs. Smuthworthy's arrival. Accordingly, I think her name just changed all of a sudden. Accompanying her was a lean, bespectacled fellow she introduced as a barrister from the court. Her son, it turned out. Young Mr. Smuthworthy always accompanied his mother when there was money involved, she explained. Okay, I need to double-check this now. Yeah, UTH, and all of a sudden, it was Eth. When the money involved, he explained. Enough banter, she crowed. Our bet, dearie? My dear madam, I can tell you that your gold will be quite safe at the Bank of Daggerfall. I hope it will not cause you distress to discover that your gold will be safer here than in your own hands. My family jewels are quite, shall we say, featherless, and you owe me a sum equally 25,000 gold. Poor Mrs. Smuthworthy's face fell when she heard this. Are you sure? Quite, madam. Not even one feather, her voice suggested doubt. Mr. Bagildon could tell she thought he might be lying. Not one, I fear, madam. It is not that I don't trust you, Mr. Bagildon, but it is quite a lot of gold. Would you Could I possibly see for myself? As he knew he was soon to be 25,000 gold pieces richer, and he was still a bit punchy from a lack of sleep, Mr. Bagleton merely smiled and dropped his breeches to the floor. Mrs. Smethworthy examined his testicles very carefully, under, to the left, to the right. At last she was satisfied that there was not so much as a down feather anywhere in the region. While she was looking under one of them for the last time, Mr. Bagleton heard a thwacking noise across the office. Young Mr. Smethworthy was banging his head against the stone wall. "What in the lady's name is wrong with your son, Mrs. Smethworthy?" he asked. "Nothing, dear. I merely bet him 100,000 gold pieces that by this time I would have the president of the Bank of Daggerfall by the balls." Wah, wah. I was hoping to go to the main menu, but we can talk about it here. So, in the for the original Elder Scrolls Arena episode, I did sort of like a halfway post-mortem, and it's really hard to tell where I am in the story or really anything. And I think that is sort of a source of profound interest in this game, as well as some of my frustration. So overall, I am really enjoying this. I was surprised at how much I liked Elder Scrolls Arena, and I am enjoying this even more. So I'm sort of taking that original level and kicking it up a notch. And it's hard, right? Because normally, like, think about the way people talk about Dark Souls. When they talk about Dark Souls, they usually say whichever one was the first one they played is their favorite. And this makes sense because it's the first time you experience that. Daggerfall really does seem to be like the game that everyone had in their head when they were making Arena. And it was sort of their chance to realize all of it. Maybe with the exception of things like being able to, like the pass wall spell, which was really useful, but it also made dungeons ridiculously easy to go through. The parts where I'm stumbling and the parts where I think this game could be better, it is very interesting to have enemies which are powerful enough that you cannot defeat them with conventional means. So in that first dungeon, we encountered the imp, and now, of course, we're encountering Daedra and liches, which apparently can't be beaten with a dwarven sword, which I thought was a fairly high-level weapon. So I think that's sort of interesting. I do think it creates a problem, though, and we really did encounter that in that last dungeon, which is, and to a lesser extent in the werewolf mission as well. Parts where you can't get past. And as it happens, the way that previous dungeon was generated, there was a Daedra right on top of the person I needed to rescue. So there really would not have been a way for me to do that without cheating, which I always feel bad about. So, I mean, it's very hard to imagine how a game on the scale of Daggerfall gets made, but I kind of feel like the cost for that is that things are maybe, not as polished as you would normally expect. I'm not entirely sure there's other things too, like that we've had main objectives which are like underwater and there's no possible way my character can swim. And you can sort of say, well, you don't need to pass every quest, and that's true. But then that creates the question of, well, which ones am I not able to pass because I'm not strong enough, and which ones am I not able to pass because I just don't get it? Obviously, I thought some of the maps couldn't be traversed, and as it turns out, there's actually just secret passages, like you need to pull one of the torches and it moves something out of the way. So I sort of think that one way they might have been able to get around this, and maybe this is something that happens, is if you read the books, it could give you little hints in terms of like, oh, Daedra can only be killed by Ebony or something like that. Daedra summoning, I have no idea how it works. I obviously don't have access to it yet, so maybe they'll explain it at the time. But, it seems to be something that's very interesting. I have the ability to do it through both religion and the Mages Guild. So I'm assuming that's a big deal, but it's not quite clear how I do that yet. I do sort of like, so the way that I engaged with doing side quests, I actually think I kind of liked the format of the Elder Scrolls Arena a little bit more than Daggerfall. So the Elder Scrolls Arena was structured in such a way that there would be sort of special events where you could get like, discounts on weapons or what have you. And what I noticed was, because I wanted to take advantage of those holidays, I would structure my day around that. And if I couldn't make it to a major city in time for the holiday, I would stick around and wait to take advantage of the holiday in my current area. And because I was waiting for that period of time, I would I would find odd jobs to do. So there was the main quest that I was going on, but because there were sort of these tent poles for me to sort of focus around, be in a city in time for the celebration, which gives you good deals on weapons and whatnot. That sort of motivated my decision to do these side quests. Now, I'm obviously spending some time doing the Mages Guild quests because I want to level up with it, and that'll probably be true for the temple. But it's running into that one problem that I have with some of the other Elder Scrolls games, which is you'll have this main quest of a potentially very important thing, and you're running off, delivering people's mail for them. And in these cases, some of these quests can be go into a dungeon which is really sprawling and find a person. And some of them can be like, well, just go into this town and drop off this item and, this person will be happy. I do like, though, that there's some quests which actually have a lot of variety in them, like trying to clear your name. Although that one, I don't know if it was bugged or if it just didn't turn out the right way, but one way or the other, I'm hated in Daggerfall as a result of one of the quests, or at least not knowing how the quest was supposed to go. Excuse me. So I do like that kind of variety. I just sort of feel that the motivation for doing the side quests is not quite there in the same way that I was sort of hoping it would be in Arena. Although I will say, like, it sort of seems clear which ones are main quest. Like, so there's the letter and there's the finding out what happened with Lysanis. I actually have no idea what's going on with Lysanis. But the letter sort of seems to be pushed forward. And I'm obviously hitting a point where my skills aren't strong enough. And then, so in terms of like the negatives, I'd say the things that are really sticking out to me, the dungeons really seem to be very mazy in a negative way. I'm not crazy about like going down long and winding hallways and finding out there's just a bunch of rooms which just are dead ends. I know a lot of people say, here's level design from, 1990 and here's level design now, and this big straight line is supposed to be a negative thing. No. It's very easy to feel like your time has been wasted in games like this. And, as cool as it is to be immersed in a world, the fact of the matter is that for a lot of fantasy or even like war stuff, like, when I'm playing a flight simulator, I tend to just really want the pared down experience of like all the exciting bits, like the dog fights and whatnot. The whole like waiting for a mission and the getting to the mission part maybe can be condensed. So likewise, in terms of The Elder Scrolls, maybe you don't need to turn over every last rock in the dungeon for it to be interesting. So I kind of have a feeling that some of the later games do a better job of that. I don't mean to hammer it too much on this, but there is a few times in this game where it feels very juvenile. Like the fact that you could just suddenly like walk into a room and there's like a naked woman there is really weird. Especially when it's like a temple or something along these lines. And I know that there are so in its defense, like there are some more like in character ones. So like in regions which are maybe a little bit more liberal in their in their particular worldview, like I sort of buy it, but even then it's kind of like, I don't know, it's just like looking at the cover of Arena. It's kind of like, I'm not saying you can't do that. It's just, what do you take? Like, whenever I see that sort of stuff, I always kind of want to say, it's like, what exactly do you take me for here? Like, it's a perfectly enjoyable game without, pretending, ooh, it's the first time I've ever seen, breasts in a game. I don't know. Maybe this might just be a time thing, but it's the only reason I really bring it out is it actually pulls me out of the game a lot. Like it does a fairly good job, even though it's all pixely and obviously some of these things are very mazy and there's clearly the bugs. I think the moments where I get pulled out of it the most are when there will just suddenly be like some priest somewhere that's like wearing something that barely qualifies as a garment, and I'm like, oh, okay. I guess it's kind of because maybe it's like a well-worn fantasy trope, and I'm sort of triggered to recognize it, but I don't know. It just strikes me as very silly. And so like when I do a book, like, I mean, the banker story is as amusing as anything. Like, again, I don't want to be like anti-fun. But like, I don't know. Could you imagine playing a game like Skyrim and then seeing like an old joke, like I bet the other guy, 3 or 4 times as much to to have this embarrassing thing happen. Like I've heard so many different variations of that joke. So I don't know, like I can't imagine what it would have been like if that sort of stuff had shown up in Skyrim. Or maybe it does, and I'm totally unaware of it. But I mean, again, these are like really minor. These are really minor points that I'm making about the game. I mean, overall, I'm really impressed with how big it is and how many options there are. The only things that really aren't working for me that I haven't talked about, like I do sort of feel like my character is very underleveled. Or alternatively, that I'm just not quite informed about how the weapons and the spells interact. I definitely feel like the spellcasters have sort of been over nerfed, for lack of a better term, in response to how powerful they were in the first game. But I'm definitely feeling like I have to work pretty hard to make some of these things. Or to survive some of these things. But I don't know, overall, it's a really impressive game. I'm really enjoying it. I hope you guys are enjoying watching these. I did want to take a second though and get a quick, I don't know, I guess follow up. I am going to be going through to the end. I don't know how to push the story forward very much. I feel like I'm on the right track, but if I sort of feel like my wheels are spinning in terms of just doing the same sort of side quest over and over again, I might consult a walkthrough just because, I think I had something. I need to check how long the Elder Scrolls Arena was. It was a very long playthrough, but like I kind of made semi-regular progress, or when I wasn't, it was a clear choice. This one I can definitely see myself like doing this for a year and still not, being anywhere close to finishing the story. So, what I'll probably do for now, I think I'm just gonna go to a wiki page and take a look at how Daedra and liches work, and the different weapon types. I think I'm just gonna educate myself a little bit on that, because clearly I can't effectively cast spells as a primary combat. I may be a spell sword, but like the fact of the matter is I'm a warrior who has the ability to cast heal a couple of times. That's really all that I've got. So what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to learn a little bit about how the interactions work with certain enemies and certain types of weapons to see whether or not I can have at least a fighting chance with Daedra and liches. Like they can still sort of one-shot me with their spells. I'm still going to need to be careful about that, but at least figuring out how to turn them into something that I can't, like something that I won't cheat around, would be ideal. And then if I feel like I'm not making any progress inside of the story, I might sort of look up a walkthrough just to try and get myself back onto. I'll try and get myself back on track, but I would really prefer not to do a walkthrough, because again, this game is very clearly designed for me to kind of run through this big world that they made up, and and just revel in it. And I'm having a good time with that for now, but I also have a feeling that if I were to do Morrowind and people would find out that me wandering through dungeons are keeping me from doing Morrowind, I'm pretty sure people would say, you can skip the dungeons, we want to see Morrowind. So no promises on that, by the way, just, I like to express these things in trade-offs. But yeah, Daggerfall is an incredibly impressive game. The game is available for free online. You can go to the Bethesda website. I don't know how well it works out of the box, but if you are on the fence about playing the game, I encourage you to do so. And just keep in mind, I do recommend that you enable the cheats and that you learn how they work, because I think they will mean the difference between you just fast forward. Like essentially the way I see the cheats in this game, it's the fast forward button for things that probably would have been removed in a more polished or modern product. And I think if it's the difference between enjoying the game or never going back, I definitely always think you should enable the cheats, just to to reach your comfort level. I'm not entirely sure there's any special points for for grinding through the the worst of it, but do what makes you happy. I've overstayed my welcome. Thank you for watching. Thank you for continuing to support this. Again, it's not a popular series, but I like that there are people who like this. And if you are one of those people, I am definitely committed to seeing this thing through, and I do appreciate you continuing to voice your support in however you do, through chat messages or likes on YouTube or comments. So have a good one, and we'll see you next week.